today, we're not going to go, well, we'll see how far we get with this. It usually takes a few different coaching calls to get through one of these. An N8N is running not great for me right now. Yes, I'm in. I want to do a workflow that involves code nodes. So you can sort of bridge the two concepts. Let's see. And then 2 days ago, let me download you. Download. Okay. And then upload. Oh, this thing has like a bunch of like API keys in it. I'm going to need to change that. That's good. That's good. Let's see your API key. While I'm doing this, does anybody have any questions or any AI topics? I see Amy. I feel like Amy is new, although you may be not new and just haven't been here for a while. Amy, are you new? If you want, just drop something in the chat, or you can turn on your mic if you're feeling bold. Good morning, Keith. Yes, you are new. If you want, you can turn on your mic or just throw in the chat. Introduce yourself and let us know what inspired you to join AI Profit Boardroom in the coaching calls. What are you looking to get out of them? It also has my API key in it. That would be bad. API key. Boom. All right, that's much better. Forgot. Because we are using these HTTP nodes, they are just configured with credentials. Okay, I think the rest is good. Now I'll download and then upload, and we will be off and running. My girlfriend got these headshots. Like her work had them like have a photographer come in to do headshots for them. She didn't like them, and so then I started running them through Nano Banana to change them for her, which was it actually is pretty useful if you're looking to clean up some of your professional like headshots or whatever, or like touch up some images. You don't need to know Photoshop now, and it'll just like do all these things for you. However, sometimes it would just make her face fatter, just for whatever reason. I don't know exactly what just to like basically get me in trouble, I think was the idea there from the AI. And so if you do want to use it, again, like you can use Nano Banana to do some like Photoshop like touch-ups to something like headshots or something like that. However, as I said, watch out before you just send them over to a woman and say, here, look what I did, without verifying if it made her face look fatter. I actually knew it made her face look fatter before I sent it over. Thought that was going to be a good joke. Didn't work out as well as I thought it was going to, but a huge fan of NotebookLM. Okay, amazing. You know what? I think I want to do a NotebookLM. I've been threatening to do a coaching call on that. That might be up after we do these open source voice generation ones. Oh, and then so a continuation. So Tuesday, we were messing around with fish speech and kind of banging around on its dependencies, having to patch part of the code. I spent about 5 minutes on it, which was all it needed, and it was ready to go. And so I will show that off on Friday, and then maybe we'll do NotebookLM on Friday as well. Either that, or we'll do the other open source speech generation tool. So fish audio is pretty cool. I think it also possibly depends on your use case. So one of the things that it does, although it's not doing that properly for me now, is supposedly, it will do different emotions for you, which are only so-so. And then it will not do SSML tagging, from what I realized. So it is not as up-to-date as 11 Labs, where you can use something like that. But again, if you have a situation where you need to use an open source voice generator, instead of sending that content to an API, you can get pretty good AI voice out of it. And then as you saw when we were going through it, theoretically, you're supposed to have 12 gigs of VRAM to run it. I only have 8 gigs. However, they had, I think, like a quantized version or a distilled version, whatever it was, that actually would run on my system. And it had different options on whether or not we should Dockerize it, or well, I think it had Docker code in there, so we could create a Docker container and run it that way. Or it just did this simple patch. The simple patch worked actually. So like it was like one line of code. Once it switched that out, then I was able to run it. It has a web interface that you can use, and then you can also write Python scripts to do batch processing of voice generation. So that did end up working. I will demo it again tomorrow, and then we'll work on something else as well. But again, so today is N8N day, and the workflow, as I said, like we're not going to get too crazy with this workflow, but I do want to introduce this concept of code nodes. And really, I think that this is where things start to get into, I was going to say the uncanny valley. I don't know if that's the right terminology here. It starts to become like, what is your purpose here? Because if you're utilizing code nodes, are you sure you don't just want to do this whole thing in code? But this can be, I think, a good solution if you need to find a fast solution to do something. There aren't nodes that will do what you want, and potentially it's already a working N8N, right? Like, so if you already have a working N8N workflow, and it's like, hey, this is good. I don't want to switch over to Python code. That's going to be a whole situation for me to do, but there's no other way for me to get this to work the way that I want it to. What's the solution here? And these code nodes essentially create it so that N8N is even more flexible and will allow you to do a bunch of different things. And this is sort of similar to, we looked at, I think it's called Agent Builder through ChatGPT, which I brought up recently, and I'm bringing up again. Agent Builder supposedly was going to, this is why like AI news, you can never trust it. The hype is just way too overhyped. Agent Builder was going to just destroy all of these startups and N8N, and nobody was going to use these workflows anymore. Everyone was just going to use Agent Builder. Look, you can just set it up and it'll do all these different agentic workflows for you. It's incredible. Nobody uses Agent. Not nobody uses Agent Builder. Agent Builder did not have the widespread industry, destroying effect that the LinkedIn timeline posts had predicted, right? And then even within Agent Builder, again, like I think what we found was, and maybe it's been updated, you never know. They might have updated it last night, and now it is this industry destroying megalopolis, is that to really leverage the usefulness out of Agent Builder, you were going to have to connect N8N to it anyway. It's like, well, I don't know if you're going to destroy N8N if you have to connect N8N to it to make it useful at all. That doesn't sound right. Other new people. Oh, okay. All right, we've got a few other new people who passed through. Aaron, of course, not new here. And Aaron has an incredible attendance record. Georgetta, back again, going strong. But, however, we have Kenza. Kenza, I feel like you're new. I feel like I would remember somebody named Kenza. If you want, you can throw something in the chat or turn on your mic if you have that ability. Introduce yourself. Let me know what brought you to the AI Profit Boardroom. Going once, going twice. Okay, no Kenza. All right. Whenever you want, if you want, you can always interrupt me. Otherwise, I'll just talk on and on and on, which is a problem. And then we also, Stephen D, maybe. We get other Stevens, so maybe you've been on here before. Stephen, are you new to the coaching calls into AI Profit Boardroom? There's something in the chat. Oh, for people who are wondering, I realized that, there we go. We got the microphone on.
Hey,
What's
Jeff,
up, Stephen?
I am new. Yes. Yeah.
What brought you here? What is interesting you in AI? How do you want AI?
I joined through that AI Profit Boardroom, right? Yep. So I like to see, how we build applications and integrations and all of that. Like N8N, I'm a little aware of, but Julian was talking about the new platform, Sim platform. So will he be covering Sim at some point of time?
Potentially. I mean, especially if you're interested. So it's called, I don't know everything that Julian covers in his videos. So it's Sin or Sim? What does it do?
It's similar to N8N. There was a video I saw that, which is like is it a replacement for N8N?
Well,
And I think it's more native to like AI integrations. Yeah, N8N is generally used for multiple purposes, right? But this tool, I think, is specifically for AI integrations.
Sim.ai workflows for LLMs, build and deploy AI agent workflows. Okay, well, we might cover this at some point. Let me see. They got a free version that we could start on. Here, I'm going to keep a list of all the different AI things that we need to cover. I'm going to throw this on the list. But yeah, probably in the coming weeks, I might do a coaching call on this guy. What I'll say is, just in general, I mean, this is probably like what the most, I don't know if you like the hottest or like the maybe one of the number one types of startups that people are trying to put together, right? An agent builder system. And whether or not it's going to take on N8N, is tough. But it already has 19,000
Y
cars.
Combinator is one of the investors.
What's up?
Combinator, yeah, this is sponsored by Y Combinator, meaning like they are part of the investment team. Yeah.
It does have a GitHub repo, which is cool. Oh, and then it can use Copilot to generate the nodes. And oh, interesting. I wonder, can you do that with N8N? Because I know N8N has I mean, that'd be kind of interesting. Maybe I could show that off. Well, this could all get wrapped together, and I want to do a coaching call on using GitHub Copilot to work on things for people, and then maybe we could have it work on this sim a workflow. That could be pretty interesting. But it's kind of like the LLMs, right? Like there's ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, Grok, and then the open source ones, right? And really, one is not like defeating any of the other, or like ChatGPT is still king, right? And the other ones are not taking over yet. They're challenging it, and I do think that they work better for different use cases. And probably Sim is similar for N8N. Is it all the way just a much better tool than N8N? I think that N8N does have the market share. Well, I think so. I mean, because like a lot of people still use Zapier and Make, and so potentially those are still considered the top automation platforms. But I'll take a look at it, and potentially we will do a coaching call on this and utilizing GitHub Copilot to run it for you. Thank you, Stephen. I was not aware of Sim yet. It looks cool. Open source. Oh, smithos.com. Interesting. Yeah, as I said, like there were probably a lot of, and there definitely were people talking about doing ChatGPT alternatives like last year, like little smaller ones, not like Anthropic, that really weren't. And then they would just be like, there's certain flavor, like here's ChatGPT for gardening or something like that. Although it's like, if you want ChatGPT for gardening, probably just go to ChatGPT. But a lot of companies are going to be coming out with their version of an agent builder, and this does fall into my 80-20 rule. But I'll go with 80-20 just because we all have so much shiny object syndrome. 80% of the time, work on something that is going to provide value and is going to work for you. 80% of the time, test out all of these new shiny toys that they have out there. Otherwise, you're just gonna spend a lot of time testing and trying out all the new toys that are out there and not spending enough time like making forward progress on utilizing AI, getting through the trials and tribulations and minefields and potholes that you need to go through to get where you need to go. Jeff, if you have a digital version, can you share that list of tools you mentioned? So here, let me just throw this. It's just something I just keep in Google Doc. Let me see. So these are, it's not incredibly well formatted or anything here. And then if anybody wants to, you can throw some stuff on this list. This might be a good idea. But really, so it's, again, not super complex. These are the different topics that I am looking to cover over the next, month or two of coaching calls for the non-N8N, non-Q&A days. So if there is a tool that anybody wants explored, throw it in the chat now. I'll throw it on this list. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it in the next coaching call, but I'll definitely try to take a look at it at some point. And once we start making our way, because I do think NotebookLM comes up a lot, even besides what Amy brought up. Cursor, Replit, those come up a lot. GitHub Copilot, the way Aaron was explaining it to me a week or two ago, I definitely think we should be trying that out. And then, we had brought up this Do Avatar is the HeyGen open source alternative. And then, we'll see how far we get with Sim.ai. But yeah, if anybody has something they want a coaching call on, throw it in the chat now. I'll throw it on the list. And no promises, but this is part of the reason why I do ask people when they first join what brought you here, so that we know, like, let's program this for what everyone is looking for and not always just the random ideas that I want to mess around with. Okay. Up next, we have Wilmer. Wilmer, I think you're potentially new. If you want, you can introduce yourself, turn on the mic, go into chat. Oh yeah, for people who don't know the chat, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, my right from my left, there's like the people icon that has a 17 above it right now, because we have 17 people on this call. It's really, probably 10 and 7 note takers. And then right next to that, you'll see something that looks like a speech, like bubble, I guess. And if you press on that, it says chat with everyone. And then for your mic, if you go more to the middle of the bottom of the page, all the way to your left, you'll see a little microphone that you can toggle on and off. Try to keep it off as much as possible unless you are talking. Wilmer, if you want, go ahead. Otherwise, we're going to start taking down some N8N workflows. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Well, and if you want at any point in time, go ahead and interrupt me if you have a better moment to pop in. Okay. So N8N, this is, automating workflows either way. Let me get everything set up N8N wise, save, hopefully. Let me create a workflow. Boom. All right, and then I will share screen. See everything. Oh, one thing I gotta make sure to do is turn off. I don't turn off or close my Google Voice tab, and sometimes calls come through and they're super annoying. And then you have to see all my text messages, especially the one about my girlfriend being mad that I made her a fat-faced, which is not that bad, but do not suggest. Or boyfriends, whoever your partner, whatever we're going. Okay, so sharing screen, cool. So in general, I like to sort of get my thoughts together, and like Claude is whenever I have to do, and it's weird, I really have this division now. If I want to do anything that is technologically related, just go to Claude, and then when I want to do anything else, I go to ChatGPT. And I probably do need to start mixing in Perplexity for research, because ChatGPT is probably just lying to me all the time, and I don't realize it. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were just talking about how they were working on a coding project, and they had no idea how to code. And they were just kind of like thinking about vibe coding it. And they asked ChatGPT, it's like, oh, do you think I could handle this? And Chat, oh yeah, sure. You can make this work. And then halfway through, and everything's not working out, I guess ChatGPT leveled with them and was like, well, maybe not. Maybe you should just hire someone to do this project. So watch out. ChatGPT is probably just going to be a little too encouraging to you. And I don't know, Perplexity probably is too. Okay. So what I want to work on is, again, like we're going to do this, basically what is going to be somewhat simple. We're going to have it take in a Google Sheet, and then we're going to have these somewhat simple code nodes that are going to do, and again, like you could probably do all of this some other way. Right? There's always, I think, for everything, a million different ways to get something done. But maybe a million might be a lot. But I do want to, utilize code nodes in here just so that we can broach that subject, start to introduce it a bit, tackle all the issues that come with it, and get prepared for what's going to happen. So that, as this is, a little write-up is it explaining, so this is going to automate the creation of marketing campaign assets. It's going to read campaign briefs from Google Sheets, and then it's going to process them through an AI service, and then writing the generated content back to the sheet. So it all sounds good. And so initially we're going to have our data input, which is stage 1, where it's going to take in the Google Sheets. I'm going to have this also generate the Google Sheet for me. Well, not the sheet itself, but the content for the sheet. We call that synthetic data. And then the first code node, as it says here, is going to do just make sure that the campaign name, audience, and product, everything is in there. It removes extra white spaces, normalizes formatting. It's just going to do validation. And then it's going to send everything to then it's going to clean it and build optimized prompts for our AI services. So then it's going to take everything and optimize it. Then, so I don't want to use an HTTP request node. We should just use the OpenAI node. I'm going to give that this feedback right now. This is, as I'm reading this and realizing that it wants an HTTP request node. I don't think that's necessary. Then we have another code node, although, no, let's not do it that way. I was going to say we could just try it out that way, but it's not really going to help us out at all. Then the final code node is going to take the AI responses, package them nicely, and add metadata. And then finally, we're going to update our sheet. So really, we're going to have a couple of sheet nodes, a couple of code nodes, and then an AI node in the middle. But as you can see, there is some value in this, right? Like if you want to use this, and possibly a version of this you wanted to expand out, where again, like right now it's just doing validating and cleaning and processing. There are all kinds of other things that you could do potentially, like say run some this is a little bit more advanced and I don't really want to necessarily get into it. You could set this up to potentially pull in market or marketing data, right? And then then you would still want to do validation and cleaning. And then, but in one of these other code nodes, you could be running like complex AI models or something that would generate a result, possibly buy, sell for market data, or for marketing data, give you a trends, it's like trends information. And then from there, you would send that to, say, OpenAI, and it would generate a report for you, and you'd get your report out of it, right? So if you did want to integrate some something that was more, again, information or things that you had built in Python that you want to run in this automation platform, you could use it for that. I am going to give it this feedback right now about this part, stage 4. I feel like we could just use the OpenAI node for this, right? See, I guess because it wasn't sure if I want to do OpenAI or use something like Stability or one of these other. Okay, yeah. So if I'm just going to do OpenAI, then we're going to do that. Rewrite the description. OpenAI in mind. So just so we are all on the same page. Boom. All right. And so then this is the concept. Oh. It also wants it to have DALL-E generate images. Okay, that'd be cool. I see why it's asking for this now. Based on what I was saying, I was just looking for something text-based. This would be cool. We can get some DALL-E integration in there. That'll be fun. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, I probably don't need to put OK in there, but just burning up tokens. Use prompt to workflow the prompt should be recent. Workflow needs to be less than 1. Cool. All right. Well, that's going to generate my prompts. Let me go over what we're talking about here. So yeah, for those who are interested, who are new to N8N, I feel like the fastest way, the best way, and a lot of the stuff is, it's like, hey, you should know kind of how a lot of this stuff works on some level, but then at the same time, banging around on all these different things just takes way too long. And you can just do build with AI, right? If you have a paid account, then you get to use build with AI. I'm not sure how it works if you're on the free account. I don't think you get to do it. Either way, if you are on the paid account, and you should have access to build with AI, if you don't see this guy here, I always bring this up, you need to go to your admin panel. Get this one turned off. Manage, and this guy here, I still need to update. Ooh, they're on 2.01. That is the beta. They have this alpha. For this, you don't need to go too crazy. You could just do latest stable if you want, and that'll be a great choice for you. As you can see, mine is already updated enough for us to do build with AI. And but if you do end up doing it, then it'll take like a few minutes, maybe around 5, to restart everything, in which case you may want to wait until you're not doing anything before you use it. Oh, knocked something over my desk. All right. So, but I have that capability right here. We're good to go. I can type in builds. We're gonna move all my little guys all over the place. All right, and let's see. Now, I always feel like you should okay, 900. Oof, got it right up to the limit. Okay, let's see. Create a workflow that automates marketing campaign content generation. Great. Google Sheets trigger, monitor a sheet for new updated rows with columns, ID, campaign name, target audience, product, tone, style, code node, validation. Here, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to do manual trigger for now. We can do the Google Sheets trigger. And this isn't a super complicated workflow. I feel like this is one where we could probably get this done in this one singular prompt. Yeah, if not, maybe we do break it up into multiple pieces, but this isn't too complex. I feel like we can handle this. But let's see, we might as well, how much can we push these? And then last one, let's use a cheaper small DBT. Yeah, so 4.0 mini. I suggest, testing some of this stuff out on 4.0 mini, especially when you're initially testing, but then start with something that is more minimal and then build from there if you're really not getting the results you want. For a lot of these different tasks, 4.0 mini is good enough, and it's just much cheaper than using 4.0. And if you're building something in N8N, theoretically what you're wanting to do is process a large amount of content and data and information. If you're doing that, the cost between 4.0 mini and 4.0 is going to be significant. And if you're not processing that much through there, most likely you potentially shouldn't be setting up a workflow because you're not doing enough things enough times. That's not necessarily an absolute rule, but is maybe a rule of thumb or something to think about before you go through it. Okay. Oh man, and I'm back up to 50 credits. We'll use this sucker to do a bunch today. All right, and so now it is going through and it is building out.
Real quick, do you mind if I ask you a quick question?
You can, because right now I got time. It's just building workflows for me.
Yeah. Can you talk to us about credit usage? What's a reasonable expectation? Just touch on credit usage. I mean, I don't know what a lot or a little is per what project. Can you give me some reference at all?
So, okay, a few different things. One is, so you get 50 a month. I'm all the way back up to my 50 again. And so, with all the workflow work that I'm doing, so I use this one only for this account for AI Profit Boardroom demos, right? And I think I get through like 5 credits a month with everything that we're doing. And part of the solution is it depends on how, like for a workflow this size, if you have the credits, you can just burn them, right? So if it's getting to the end of the month, it's like, hey, you might as well just have it do as much work as you want for it. It is only going to use 1 credit every time you enter something into this chat field, right? So if I put something else in here now and I press this button, it's going to burn up another credit. However, you have both build and you have ask. And so ask, you see there's no credits on here, not like build. Or like build, right now I just went down from 50 to 49, right? So you can ask as much as you want. And part of the good thing about ask is, so it's positive and negative. So ask doesn't automatically do anything for you. It just answers your questions for you, right? So it's a little bit more like having it is an LLM, right? Like asking questions to an LLM, and it's not going to necessarily do things for you in the same way. Well, no, I guess that they'll build, never mind. So this is more like just like a chat to ask questions with, and can be useful as, I think if you kind of work with both of these back and forth, one is going to do the hard work for you and set up a bunch of things, but then ask will explain a lot of how these nodes work or how to troubleshoot them, things like that. And you can get pretty far with that, where potentially you would use 1 credit to set up your initial workflow like I just did now, and maybe to troubleshoot all the different issues, just use the ask to get you through it until, like, sometimes it built it not exactly the way you wanted, or it's just like, hey, like this really isn't working here, let me put all this into, let me let build try to figure it out itself. And then also, like as I said, like this is one pretty simple workflow. You could easily see, like if you see some of the ones that like other YouTubers post, or some of the ones that Julian posts, where there's like branches and branches and branches. Potentially for that, you would do like a token per branch, and then maybe 2 per branch, 1 for your first draft, and then you did a bunch of asking, and then 1 for an update draft for that branch, and then from there, each one of them. So like I feel like this is roughly a good size for 1 build prompt token ask. Something that was 5 times this big with like multiple different branches to it, I would be breaking up into pieces, testing out into pieces, and you would end up using 1 or 2 tokens per branch for that. If that makes sense. Okay. All right. And then now, so it's got all this different stuff in here. Again, one of the cool things about doing build workflow is that it does automatically, if you have credentials in here, it does set up your credentials for you, which I have here. But then as you can see, this value message is not supported, so that's not great. So it set this up for me, but like I already got a couple of problems in here. Image prompt, okay, cool. Generate an image, and again, it's got my credentials in here. So there's a few things I definitely know I want this to, I'm going to go back and ask Claude to do, which is create the code for the different code nodes. So you can take a look at these. Oh, never mind. I haven't asked it to do this before. It just coded them up for me. Okay, so it already has these code nodes set up. That was pretty cool. Was not expecting that when this happened. But the good thing is that if I am running into issues, because Claude does understand JavaScript a little bit better than understands N8N, that's another solution. Oh, that's the other thing, is that between ask and your LLM that you're using, you can probably get pretty far. And then again, like if you need to, then ask it to rebuild. All right, and then let's see, what do we have for Google Sheets? So then again, it's connected to my Google Sheets account, and then document by ID, by sheet name. This is interesting. All right, oh, .sheet ID, okay, .sheet name. Okay, but then is there something else I'm missing? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Okay, perfect. So then this is going to be my Google Sheet ID, and then this is going to be my sheet name. I will go into that really quickly. Let me get a sheet going. New Google Sheet. All right, perfect. And then here, we'll call this code sheet. All right, and then it's not populated currently, right? So what do we do? Let's ask. I do this for a lot of projects, actually. So often the client like just does not have stuff ready to go. And so I will just use something like this to generate. I wonder if I'm gonna have to go row by row. No, I did not. Perfect. Look how well that worked out. Just so you know, I did not do just Control V. I did Control Shift V when I did that. Doesn't always work. Sometimes it's not exactly what I want, but man, I mean, things are going so well so far. This is all gonna go terribly pretty soon. There's no way everything's just gonna work out perfectly for me, right? Okay, so I have my sheet. It actually, you know, gives us more time to do stuff on the coaching calls. It all just went easily. No, we wouldn't really get to see the real, what it's really like. Okay, so my sheet ID is this guy right here, right? Or this gal right here. I guess IDs aren't, yeah, you have whatever gender you want. My sheet ID, and then my sheet name. I'm going to change my name because right now it's sheet 1 to, okay, let's rename this to campaign 1 so it seems a little bit cooler, and hopefully I spelled campaign right. It's not my fault that there's made up. I probably didn't. That's probably terrible. We'll find out. It doesn't matter as long as it's right. Oh no, hold on. Maybe I did. Look, EG campaigns. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And all right. Oh, okay. This is definitely gonna cause a problem, right? Why it's doing this? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Model from what I said. I want GPT 4.0 mini. Okay. Um, All right, I'll ask Claude first too. What should my prompt? Oh no, so it's getting the prompt from the previous step. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna ask Claude for help. Okay, so this is, we'll see. It does make sense, but yeah, and I won't be able to totally tell until I execute the previous node. Which we might as well test out. All right, let me see. So your Google Sheet ID and sheet name, I did that. It already does that automatically. Let me double check. I don't think it did. All right, so this is for the flow. If you are symbolic experience. Target audience, campaign name, product tone. Yes. Okay. Cool. Word count, everything. Oh, it did. Man, they are. All right. There's no way. There's no way it's going to. This is going to give us problems, almost definitely. One of these guys is going to give us problems, and then we'll see. Oh, because we have a workflow configuration. Workflow configuration went wrong for me previously, but we'll see. This actually makes sense. So, and away we go. Now, well, I haven't used it that much. I was about to say, watch, my OpenAI account doesn't have any money in it, and so we are going to get nothing out of it. But if it's running around like that, it definitely didn't fail. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Okay. All right, so I did this. Look, we made it that far. Pretty good, pretty good. So we got our campaign, and then, but this had a problem. Okay, JSON image prompt. Let's see, build prompts, name, image prompt. Yikes. So yeah, if you're wondering, like, you can just drag these over. So it's one of the cool parts about N8N. I actually love this feature. It makes things easy, where you can just drag this stuff over and you're good to go. Instead of having to figure everything else. If you really get like kind of going with N8N, it, you know, can be really useful. Just for stuff like that, especially if you want to iterate fast and you're used to it. All right, let's go again. This is especially why I want to use 4.0 mini, because it's just blasting away on my tokens right now. What I might end up doing is, if this goes wrong one more time, I'm going to cut down on the number of examples in here so that it's not, if you see like it's, how many do we have? 5. Just cut this down to like 2 just to save, I mean, partially just to save the time even. Oh, it's generating images. All right, that's cool. This can take a bit of time. Surprised that it's taking, well, these APIs, I guess it has a bunch to go through. All right, let me check. Any questions on anything I'm doing so far? I do like how this does picture-in-picture for me now, so we don't end up with like the matrix every time I come back to this screen. And oh, it's plugging away for sure on the next run. Ooh. Some of these campaign images look like not bad. How's our words? Summer launch, digital launch. A little bit rough. A little bit rough. Smartwatch Kids Edition. Not bad. I wouldn't really use DALL-E to do image gen. That looks pretty cool. It's just simple for us to do here now. You know, ooh. Okay. And then finally, Studrow. This, I think, that patterning, it's not doing it as much anymore, but man, the old DALL-E loved to make stuff that looked like this. I don't know what they trained it on, but like this type of like, whatever was showing up in everything that DALL-E would make me for a while. I think they've updated it so it's a little bit better. And then how's our Google Sheet look? The moment of truth. Ooh, not great. Hold on. Sometimes I need to update this. Okay. Oh, almost. Now, putting the generated copy in here is going to be a little bit tough. I mean, it'll just go in there. I guess it could make it like, right, like you could do something more like this. And, yeah, let me see. I know you can make this bigger. Well, I guess if it'll probably reformat it if it was to actually do it. Let me see. So, process results. So for something like these type of issues, I might ask it to, okay, yeah, okay. No, I'm using, well, we're almost there. We're just gonna get this Google Sheet to be right. No, I'll put it in subscribe. But we're about done for today. Pretty good for our first code node day. Tomorrow, if I have time, I'll just get this last node to work and present that tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're also going to be doing fish speech. I'll just show you how that ended up working. And then maybe NotebookLM. We'll see. Either NotebookLM or the Microsoft Vibe Voice. This guy might be a good. And then we can just finish off with our open source voices. And so I kind of like to pair these things together. So maybe we could do a NotebookLM and then some other RAG system, because that's really what NotebookLM actually is. All right, thank you, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Again, tomorrow we're going to finish off fish speech and vibe voice, and probably finish off this N8N a little bit, and if you have any questions, let me know. And as I said, you see the upcoming tools and services we're going to be using. Let me know if there's anything you want to throw on here. I, again, will not promise that we're going to be doing it now or ever, I guess. But if it's cool enough, and especially if other people are interested, part of the reason why like NotebookLM is at the top here, a lot of people talk about NotebookLM. And so I want to share that with everybody else. And then the same thing with like Replit comes up a lot. And then GitHub Copilot doesn't just come up at not here, but like in other places. Okay, have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy AI and automation. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, bye guys and gals.